Political Action Committee is attempting to take down the popular North Carolina Congressman Madison Cawthorn, but that certainly won't be an easy task. Joining me to discuss, the man himself, Madison Cawthorn. Hello, Congressman. Glad to have you back. You know, you said, quote, if I'm hated in Washington, D.C., if I'm despised and derided by the corporate lobbyists and super PACs of the radical left, if I am cursed and spit upon by socialists and activists, then I know I'm doing my job. Why do you think the left is so afraid of human liberty and freedom that you stand for?
Oh, because it absolutely derides their power base. It destroys everything that they've built for so many of these past decades of trying to control people through fear, trying to control people by saying, hey, you're not smart enough to be able to make public policy on your own. Let us have all the power. Give all the power to the government so we can do it for you. Whereas I say the exact opposite. If we had more people in work boots making legislative decisions and we had D.C. white-collar lawyers making decisions, we'd be in a hell of a lot less debt and we'd be in a much better place as our country.
No kidding. You know, I'm glad you went off on the new ATF director, David Chipman. Here's a guy who was asked in a congressional hearing, hey, can you define the fake term assault weapon? It's a class of guns that they can't even define themselves, but he wants to take away whatever that is away from Americans. Why does Chipman stepping into power frighten you as much as it does me?
Oh, well, because he's a tyrannical ruler. This is somebody who wants, I mean, gun control in itself is tyrannical. It's authoritarian. It's trying to give the government a monopoly on force and lethality, which makes us going from being citizens to being subjects. I refuse that notion. I say every single American is the royalty in this country. Your house is your castle, and you do not have to bend the knee and kiss the ring simply because somebody has a bigger gun in Washington, D.C. If people in Washington, D.C. want to become tyrants, they will meet a very, very unwelcoming party when they come down to the mountains of western North Carolina.
Yeah, I don't know how you felt about that. I mean, maybe you didn't see that what I'm making allusion to, but he's asked, I think it was Senator Kennedy who asked him, define an assault weapon, and he sat there and said, duh, I can't define an assault weapon. Yet they want to take something called an assault weapon, which you and I both know doesn't exist. They want to take it away from us. So doesn't that just basically undermine? Go ahead.
Yeah, well, you know, I actually saw him try and walk that back and say, well, you know what, the definition of assault weapons is anything that shoots a semi-automatic round, something that you can pull the trigger multiple times without having to reload, and it shoots. That is basically every single modern sporting rifle in the United States of America. But let me tell you, the Second Amendment is not written for sporting. The Second Amendment is so that the tyrannical government ever wants to rise up, we can stop them. And if anybody ever wants to say, oh, well, you know what, citizens with a few small arms fire would never be able to stop the federal government. I absolutely disagree. Ask the Viet Cong how they handled the Marines and the Army in Vietnam.
Yeah, you know, and while the left seeks to disarm law-abiding Americans, they're defunding our police officers, making crime easier for criminals. I don't know if you saw this out in San Francisco, where you can steal up to $950 of merchandise and not be prosecuted because of liberal DAs. This guy just stuffing a trash bag full of stuff off of store shelves and just wheeling right out of a store. And you have an entire political party, Congressman Cawthorn, that is made up of people who support this very type of nonsense all over America. How are you fighting back?
Well, number one is first I'm showing the hypocrisy. I mean, in one moment, these people will scream out and say, why is violent crime on the rise? It doesn't make any sense. And then in the next moment, they'll scream out and say, you know what, we need to take the ability for good law-abiding citizens to be able to defend themselves away from them. But you know what, this is not, if they want to turn millions of law-abiding Americans into criminals overnight by outlawing assault weapons, I'll tell you one thing. The criminals we need to be worried about are not the ones who are stealing $950 worth of stuff in San Francisco. It's the criminals in the chamber that I serve in who are trying to disarm law-abiding, God-fearing Americans. It's disgusting and it's wrong.
Amen to that. Biden, in the meantime, overseas, berating a reporter after his post-Putin summit. Watch this.
Why are you so confident he'll change his behavior, Mr. President?
Yeah, I'm not confident he'll change behavior. What the hell? What do you do all the time? So when did I say I was confident?
You said in the next 6 months you'll be able to determine.
What I said was, let's get it straight. I said what will change their behavior is if the rest of the world reacts to them and it diminishes their standing in the world. I'm not confident of anything.
Congressman, what's your takeaway from Joe Cranky Pants there?
Well, first, I'm actually shocked he got through that entire sentence without stumbling. I mean, that's got to be one of the only 10 times he's had this since he's been president of the United States. But you know what? It just shows how weak we are on the world stage right now. I mean, we've literally had Russian, paramilitary organizations who've been hacking into our meat processing and our gas delivery system here in the United States of America. And so now we're going to go over into Switzerland and sit there and have a conversation where, first of all, I mean, just study his body language. You can tell that Putin is the alpha in the room when Joe Biden is there. And then even you have Joe Biden openly mocking our president, saying, oh, yeah, look at this guy. He's got a big, really, really great memory. It's very, very sad this is the person we have representing who Americans are, because Americans are to be feared on the world stage. But unfortunately, with this president, we're made a mockery of.
No kidding. Congressman Madison Cawthorn, always appreciate talking to you, sir.
Hey, I'm Rob Finnerty. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please join the conversation in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe, too. Hit the bell icon to be alerted to breaking news. And remember, there's a whole lot more on Newsmax TV, America's fastest growing cable news network. Newsmax TV, we're real news for real people.